Here's the truth. When she senses you've truly stopped caring, it doesn't bring her closer, it rattles her. Because silence, when rooted in strength, flips the entire game. The power she thought she held slips, and now she's the one left wondering. Most men break that silence too soon, trading the upper hand for a fleeting sense of connection. But the man who can hold his ground turns absence into gravity and gravity into control. In this video, we're not just talking about silence. We're uncovering the emotional stages she moves through when she can't read you, and how you can stay anchored in power instead of pulled back into old patterns. Like this video and subscribe to Stoic Station if you're ready to stop reacting and start leading. Start this journey now. Drop a 1 if you've let emotions steer you, or a 2 if you now choose direction over impulse. I read every comment, and your story matters. Stay with me, because in a moment you'll see why holding the pause might be the most decisive move you'll ever make, and how it changes everything. Now, let's dive in. 1. Not every hey means come back. That little ping on your phone, her name on the screen. A single hey. Your chest tightens, your heart kicks, and before you've even finished reading it, your mind is racing ahead, imagining that maybe, just maybe, this is the start of something again. For most men, that moment is intoxicating. It feels like proof that you've been on her mind, that perhaps she regrets letting you go. But here's the truth. Not every hey is a lifeline. More often it's a fishing line. Psychologically, messages like hey or what's up are low investment openers. They cost nothing. They require no vulnerability. And yet we treat them like gold because we want them to mean more than they do. It's human nature to attach meaning where there's mystery. To believe the knock at the door is an invitation to come inside. But if you answer every knock as if it's a homecoming, you're setting yourself up to be disappointed and worse, to hand back the control you've worked so hard to reclaim. The danger isn't in the message itself, it's in your reaction to it. That one word can flip the switch from calm to eager, from grounded to grasping. The moment you rush to respond, you're no longer acting from strength, you're reacting from hope. And that's exactly what she's testing, not necessarily with malice, but with curiosity, ego, or the subtle desire to see if she still has a place in your head and your heart. You must learn to see these moments for what they are. Data, not destiny. A breadcrumb is not a map. Curiosity and ego often wear the mask of missing you, but they're not the same thing as genuine intent. Your job is not to chase the meaning you wish was there, but to discern the truth in what is actually being offered. So pause, breathe. Ask yourself, does this message change anything about the man I've been becoming? If the answer is no, then it's not an invitation, it's simply a knock. And here's the part you must never forget. You hold the key. Whether that door opens should depend entirely on whether it serves your peace, your progress, and your purpose, not just her curiosity. Because in the end, the power isn't in the message she sends. It's in the decision you make after reading it. And that's where the story shifts entirely into your hands. 2. The real reason. She breaks silence. She never thought you would stay silent this long. In her mind, you'd crack first, send a message, try to explain yourself, or find some excuse to make contact. But you didn't. You stayed still. And that stillness has disrupted her emotional rhythm. Humans crave patterns, even if those patterns cause pain. When you disappeared with dignity, you didn't just remove yourself from her life. You broke the beat she was used to dancing to. That's when cognitive dissonance sets in. She chose to leave, and at the time, it made sense to her. But now, something feels off. The comfort of knowing you'd always be there has been replaced by uncertainty. Her message isn't necessarily about wanting you back. It's about soothing the discomfort she feels when the familiar is gone. This is where the endowment effect comes into play. People assign more value to what they once had, but can no longer access. If you don't understand this, you'll read too much into her words. You'll treat "hey" as "I love you," when in reality it's closer to "I notice you're gone." And that's the key shift you must make. Her text is a symptom of her unease, not proof of her devotion. When you learn to hear "I feel your absence" instead of "I can't live without you," you stop mistaking noise for music. And once you stop doing that, you'll see her reach not as a rope to pull you back in, but as a mirror reflecting the power of your absence. 3. The trap of emotional reflex. You see her name light up your screen, and before you even read the words, your pulse spikes. It's like a sudden jolt of electricity, part excitement, part anxiety. In that split second, most men don't think, they react. The thumb hovers over the reply button, ready to type something warm, validating, maybe even apologetic. And just like that, without realizing it, you've handed over the emotional steering wheel. This is loss aversion at work. The brain's built-in fear of losing what it thinks might be an opportunity. You tell yourself that replying instantly will keep the moment alive, that speed will show interest and sincerity. But what it really shows is availability without boundaries. And in her mind, that reaffirms something dangerous. She still has power over you. You think you're reigniting connection, but you're not. You're reigniting her control over your emotional state. That control isn't always malicious. Sometimes it's unconscious, but once she feels it, the dynamic shifts. The chase ends. The curiosity fades. The balance tips back to where it was before, with her setting the pace and you responding to her rhythm. That's why you need what I call the Stoic Pause. The moment you feel that surge to respond, stop, put the phone down, take a breath. Step away long enough for your thinking brain to catch up to your feeling brain. The first impulse is rarely the wisest one. In the space you create, you can ask the question that will keep you grounded. Does replying now serve my healing, or just my fear of silence? Silence is not your enemy. Silence is the ground where your strength is rebuilt. When you learn to hold it without flinching, you stop being a man who reacts to her every move and start being a man who decides his own. And that's the man she doesn't see coming, the one whose value doesn't rise or fall based on a single message. The moment you master that pause, you don't just break the reflex, you break the pattern. And that's when everything changes. 4. Silence with a pulse. True silence is not emptiness, it's pressure. It's the quiet weight that settles in the room when a truth has been spoken but not answered, when a presence is felt without being seen. And that pressure works in your favor if you can hold it. The mistake most men make is breaking the silence too soon. They rush to fill the space with words, thinking it will keep the connection alive. But in doing so, they relieve her tension, and with it, the space she needs for genuine reflection disappears. People don't actually miss noise. They miss rhythm. They miss the pattern, the predictability, the way things used to feel. When you stay silent with intent, you disrupt that rhythm, and she can't help but notice. But when you jump in to explain, to reassure, or to reopen the door before she's even knocked, you erase the very lesson your absence was teaching her, that you are not always there on demand, that access to you is no longer guaranteed. Silence, when purposeful, is not passive. It speaks in a language she can't ignore, a language of boundaries, self-respect, and sovereignty. It tells her you are a man who does not measure his worth by her attention, a man who does not need to justify his presence or his absence. Your quiet is not a void, it is a stance. It's the steady heartbeat she can feel but can't touch, the reminder that you are no longer defined by her response, and in that stillness you become the one thing she cannot control. and the one thing she cannot forget. 5. The weight factor. Power doesn't just live in what you say. It lives in the space between her message and your response. That gap is where your frame is either held or surrendered. Too many men give it away instantly. The moment her words appear, they rush to reply, thinking speed shows interest, sincerity, or emotional maturity. But in reality, quick replies send a very different message: unlimited availability. And when something is always available, it stops feeling valuable. This isn't about playing games or manufacturing scarcity. Scarcity, when it's real, isn't manipulation. It's a reflection of truth. Your time is finite. Your attention is earned, not owed. You have a life, priorities, and a mission that extend beyond your phone screen. When you respond instantly, you silently tell her that she still sits at the center of your world, no matter how things ended. Fear will try to talk you out of waiting. It will whisper, if you delay, she'll lose interest. But that voice isn't wisdom. It's your craving wearing logic's mask. It's the part of you that still seeks comfort in her approval. The truth is, if a few hours of space are enough to make her lose interest, then there was nothing real to hold on to in the first place. Delay with purpose. Let time do its work. Let it show her that your life is full, that your attention is not something she can summon on command. Every silent minute becomes a signal, not of coldness, but of control. You are a man who responds from choice, not from need. And in a world where everyone is one swipe away, being the man who cannot be rushed is the man who cannot be forgotten. That's the weight of patience. That's the leverage she didn't expect you to have. 6. Effort must match access. A knock at the door doesn't mean she's moving back in. A single "hey" isn't a grand gesture. It's not redemption, and it's certainly not a guarantee that she's ready to rebuild what was broken. More often than not, it's a test, a way to measure if she still has a place in your life, if her name still pulls you in the way it used to. When her effort is light, you cannot bring heavy energy in return. If she's sending small signals, don't respond with emotional paragraphs or an outpouring of attention. That imbalance sets you up for a dangerous loop, where she gives just enough to keep your hope alive, and you keep feeding her reassurance without ever securing her real presence. It's a cycle that feels like progress, but leads nowhere. You have to match her consistency, not her nostalgia. Nostalgia is about remembering what used to be. Consistency is about proving what's true now. Words are easy. Intent is proven in patterns, in follow-through, in showing up over time. If she's truly interested in reconnecting, her actions will make that clear without you having to guess. So let her actions speak before you start building on her words. You're not asking for too much when you require equal effort. You're simply protecting your energy from being spent on illusions. When you hold that standard, you make it clear that access to you is not automatic. It must be earned. And in that truth, you stop chasing potential and start valuing proof, the kind of proof that builds something worth keeping. 7. Read her digital body language. Every message carries a subtext if you know how to read it. Most men focus only on the words, but the real story is written in the behavior that surrounds them. A vague "hey" with no follow-up, long gaps between replies, or answers that dodge your questions. These aren't accidents, they're signals. And those signals speak louder than any emoji. When you misread them, you fall into overinvestment. You pour in attention, enthusiasm, and energy she hasn't earned, trying to turn lukewarm interest into something solid. But interest that's real doesn't need you to keep it alive. It keeps showing up on its own. That's why you must learn to track patterns, not moments. A single friendly message might be curiosity, a consistent effort over time. That's intent. Digital body language tells you what she may never say outright. Whether you are a priority or a placeholder, believe the trail, not the punctuation. Because when you trust the pattern, you stop chasing mixed signals and start valuing clear ones. And in that clarity, you protect your energy for the person who doesn't just reach out once, but keeps walking toward you. 8. Keep your axis centered. If one ping on your phone can tilt you, your center isn't anchored. You've let your balance depend on something outside of you, and the moment her name lights up your screen, all the momentum you've been building suddenly wobbles. It's subtle at first. Maybe you stop what you're doing, lose focus for a few minutes, or replay past memories in your head. But soon, you've gone from living forward to orbiting her again, waiting for her next move before you make yours. This is not a sign from the universe, it's a crack in your foundation. When one person's words can so easily steer your emotions, it means you've been resting your stability on something that was never fully yours to control. That's not love, and it's not connection, it's dependency dressed up as hope. And the dangerous thing about hope, when it's ungrounded, is that it can pull you back into the very place you fought so hard to leave. You were on a path. You had a mission, values, and habits that were slowly but surely rebuilding you. You were getting stronger, more focused, more at peace. Then suddenly, one message tempts you to put all of that on pause, and in that moment, you're not choosing growth. You're choosing to be reactive to the past. Here's the truth. The man who stays grounded in his purpose is unshakable, not because he's numb, but because he refuses to let fleeting contact rewrite his direction. Your mission, your values, your daily habits, these are the anchors that keep you steady when emotional waves hit. Recommit to them before you even think about responding. Remind yourself that your life has weight and momentum beyond this conversation, beyond this person. Because when your axis is centered, her words don't pull you off course. They just pass through your orbit without changing your trajectory. You can choose to respond, or you can choose silence. But either way, the choice comes from strength, not from the need to be seen or validated. A grounded man's path isn't altered by echoes from the past. And when you live from that place, you send a message louder than any text you could ever type. I am whole, with or without your reply. That's the kind of gravity she can feel but can no longer control, and it's the kind that keeps you moving forward no matter who tries to pull you back. 9. Test her consistency over time. The first message is just the opening move. It might feel exciting, even reassuring, but a single "Hey" or "How have you been?" is not the same as real intent. Too many men mistake that first spark for a steady flame, and in doing so, they lean in too hard, too fast. But attraction, and more importantly, trust, is not built in a moment. It's proven in consistency over time. Think of it like this. A candle can light brightly for a second and still blow out with the next breeze. If you respond with your full energy to that first flicker, you set yourself up for disappointment when it fades, and often it will. That's because intermittent reinforcement can work against you here. When she controls the timing and the frequency of contact, she also controls your emotional highs and lows. She sends a message, you light up. She goes quiet, you spiral. And without realizing it, you've given her the power to dictate the rhythm of your feelings. The antidote is patience with a purpose. Observe, don't assume. Watch how she shows up over weeks, not hours. Is there follow-through after the first message? Is she initiating more often, keeping the conversation alive without you pushing? Is her energy growing or fading? These are the patterns that reveal intent. A single "hey" can't rebuild trust. It can't erase what caused the distance or prove she's ready for something real. But sustained action, consistent effort, and a willingness to meet you halfway can. Until you see that, keep your emotional investment steady. Don't let a momentary spark pull you back into old patterns. When you wait for proof over time, you send a message she can't ignore. Your trust is valuable, and it's earned through action, not assumed through sentiment. And in that space, you protect not only your heart, but your peace, your momentum, and the man you've been working to become. 10. Respond only when it aligns with you. Not all silence is forever, but not every message deserves to be brought back to life. One of the easiest traps men fall into is mistaking genuine vulnerability for clever testing. Just because a message feels personal doesn't mean it's rooted in sincerity. The right message will have weight. It will feel intentional, not impulsive. It will carry the kind of clarity that comes from reflection, not boredom. If you warm too quickly, you risk falling straight back into the patterns you worked so hard to break. But if you shut the door too harshly, you might close off an opportunity that was actually worth exploring. The challenge is in the discernment, knowing the difference between a bridge being built and a baited hook being cast. The wrong response at the wrong time can rewind your growth. You could find yourself back in a dynamic where her attention dictates your peace instead of your peace dictating your choices. That's why the first step is to remain neutral and grounded. Don't give her your emotional pulse right away. Instead, allow her to clarify her intent through her actions, not just her words. You're not replying to reignite the past. You're opening a door only if she's walking in with truth. And if she's not, the silence you've built becomes your shield. That choice, to respond or not, must align with your values, your growth, and your vision for the future. Because when you move from alignment instead of impulse, you're no longer reacting to her presence. You're choosing your own path, and that's a path no one can pull you off without your permission. If you're a man going through this, I want you to hear me clearly. The moments we've just walked through aren't about her, they're about you. Every break in silence, every flicker of contact is a crossroads. Most men rush in, reading hope where there's only habit, pouring energy into moments that were never meant to carry that weight. That's where they lose their ground. What I've shown you is a different path. One where you slow down, read the patterns, and respond from strength instead of impulse. You learn that silence isn't a void, it's a stance. That waiting isn't a game. It's proof you value your attention. That effort must match access, and access must be earned. You begin to see her actions as data, not destiny. And here's the bigger truth. This is training for more than just this relationship. It's how you carry yourself in business, in friendships, in the way you lead your own life. A grounded man doesn't bend with every shift in the wind. He knows his mission, he guards his energy, and he chooses from clarity, not craving. So the next time your phone lights up with her name, remember, you're not here to chase a spark. You're here to protect the fire you've been building in yourself. If that message aligns with your purpose, engage with calm. If it doesn't, let your silence speak. Because in the end, the win isn't whether she comes back. It's knowing you never left yourself. If this message hits something deep inside you, let it guide your next move. Like this video and subscribe to Stoic Station, where we sharpen discipline and reclaim our strength, one decision at a time. Drop a comment below. I don't chase signals. Say it loud. Say it clear. Let the world know where you stand. Every man reaches the same crossroads. Will you lead with fleeting emotion or rise with unshakable mastery? That choice? It doesn't just define this moment. It defines who you become. Make it count.